hate the ocean. Hate it. The open water, the endless depths, and especially the giant killer creatures that could be 6 inches from you at any time. All awful. Luckily, that means that ocean-based horror movies can be pretty awesome. So, with that in mind, here are 10 of my all-time favorites. A couple notes: in the way that my killer animals and killer bug movies are not top 10s, this too is just a list of 10 great movies. Also, I'll once again try to spread the wealth among different creatures as best I can. Comment some of your favorites in case I miss ones that you love. First, the obvious animal of choice here has to be sharks. So, because I like breaking my own rules, I'm going to choose multiple shark movies to kick off this list. Jaws is clearly one of the greatest movies ever made, but since I want to go a little bit deeper than that, I'll toss out Jaws 2 instead. Following very closely on the heels of the first Jaws, this 1978 sequel sees Chief Brody hopping back into action to save a group of teens, which includes his own children, from yet another great white shark terrorizing Amity Island. Except this time, the shark is a borderline Olympian who does shit like getting half its face burnt off and then taking down a fucking helicopter. It's still a ton of fun, despite very obviously just hitting Control-C, Control-V on Spielberg's OG formula to basically provide a turn-your-brain-off, knockoff sequel, but one that does not pull any punches. Parts 3 and 4 would go on to suck beyond belief, but Part 2 is legitimately decent. Next, I feel like I'm required by law to choose another shark movie, and as much as some other great ones exist, like Deep Blue Sea and The Shallows, and so many others, I think a recent one that deserves its own mention is 2024's Netflix outing Under Paris. A marine biologist discovers that a massive, highly intelligent shark population has been reproducing in the canals of the Seine River in France, just as Paris prepares for a historic triathlon event. And the event that then unfolds is just pure water-based mayhem. The last 15 minutes in particular in this movie are some of the boldest swings I've ever seen a film like this take. And honestly, a hot take is that it might actually own the best shark movie ending of all time. Kind of wish there were more practical effects and less choppy CGI, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Next, a movie that really unfairly gets characterized as a Jaws knockoff, 1977's Orca, the Killer Whale. After a fisherman accidentally kills a pregnant killer whale, its highly intelligent male orca mate relentlessly stalks him and his entire coastal town in the pursuit of grim revenge. It quickly becomes a depressingly bleak man versus nature tale, where the concept of human trauma deflecting its sins upon the world proves to basically be the downfall of civilization, as the cold, open ocean atmosphere just dooms everyone to a fate of cynical self-destruction. Very emotional, very brutal, very beautiful, with a very good score by Ennio Morricone, and not at all deserving of the rip-off connotation with which it's tagged. Next, we transition into a smaller scale of horror with Killer Fish. The very obvious choice then is some version of the Piranha movies. With James Cameron's Piranha 2: The Spawning and the relatively recent schlockfest of Piranha 3D and Piranha 3DD, all earning valid shoutouts, but it's Joe Dante's original 1978 trash spectacle Piranha that gets the heavy nod. After a horde of killer piranhas are released into a river system, a race ensues to stop the man-eating fish from invading a children's summer camp. Spoiler alert, they fail! Director Joe Dante then decides to claim Savage, as he shows a fuck ton of little kids actually being eaten alive by the little fucking bastards. It's mean-spirited as hell, and absolutely differentiates itself from the Jaws archetype by crossing the line several times in a way that Spielberg never would have dared to go towards. Fucking love this movie. Next, it's time to turn away from chomping creatures and instead take a look at tentacle monsters. There are a decent amount of killer octopus or squid films, with classic B movies like It Came from Beneath the Sea, and even 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, both deserving a solid mention. But it's the behemoth from 1998's Deep Rising that takes the cake for me. A group of trained thieves try to hijack a luxury ocean cruise liner, only to find that the vessel has been attacked by a massive sea monster. And what unfolds is just an absolute disaster of a heist, as the tentacle-infested quarters of the ship end up presenting way more of a challenge than what any of the mercenaries had signed up for. The monster in question is definitely not your typical cephalopod, but I'm still going to count it because tentacles just creep me the fuck out, man. An awesome 90s creature feature. Next, crabs totally deserve to be mentioned on a list like this. But there aren't really a whole lot of killer crab movies that are actually worth their salt. Like, Deep Star 6 kind of counts, but not really in the way that I would like. So I'm instead just going to say fuck it and go with the gleefully abysmal Roger Corman 1957 B movie Attack of the Crab Monsters. A preposterously far-fetched film. This one sees a group of scientists and soldiers on a remote island trying to combat a collection of nuclear mutated giant crabs that have developed the ability to not only devour and then absorb the minds of the people that they kill, but then also telepathically mimic the voices of their victims. It is dumb as hell, but it's very admirable in the practical effects that it uses, with the giant crab suit puppet things just crawling around and snatching up humans. And it holds a very special place in my heart because my young daughter watched this movie with me once and now regularly requests to watch it as a daddy movie whenever she feels like getting cheaply scared. Not something I'd ever hang my hat on, but also go watch it this instant. Next, there are so many different H.P. Lovecraft monstrosities that could sneak their way onto this list, with a great example being Stuart Gordon's 2001 Weirdo Jam, Dagon. But I would argue that the film that does the most justice to the concept of Cthulhu is 2020's Kristen Stewart-led Underwater. After a catastrophic earthquake destroys an underwater drilling station, a group of well-trained survivors are forced to traverse the deep ocean floor to reach safety. But they quickly discover that they are not alone, and in fact have to dodge a horde of ancient deep-sea creatures stalking them in the darkness. The film commits very heavily to the mythos with which it's linked, and the claustrophobic feel of being that far below sea level is a fear that really I don't think enough films have touched on. The ending, too, to this thing is just so awesome, so I really never once envisioned not including it on a list like this. Next, it's time to talk about the dreaded fish people things that many movies have dared to portray. The obvious pick here would be The Creature from the Black Lagoon, but as much as I love the old school Universal monster movies, my choice here veers towards the more borderline exploitation flick that is 1980's Humanoids from the Deep. After toxic waste mutates sea creatures into violent frog-like humanoid monsters, the beasts begin attacking a small coastal town in this Roger Corman trash fest, which sees the creatures essentially just murdering every man and then raping every woman in sight. It's preposterously not okay, which is mainly why I love it. And there's one scene in particular which includes this weirdo ventriloquist dude getting absolutely shit pumped by these things. So naturally, it's stuck with me forever. On top of that, the ending is stupidly phenomenal. One of the best final scenes in a movie like this maybe ever. A special shout out is also owed to Sergio Martino's batshit insane Island of the Fishmen. But while we're on this topic, I just want to say, fuck The Shape of Water. I absolutely despise the mainstream clout that thing got. So go watch this dumpster fire instead. Next, I think at this point, I kind of need to toss out a more highbrow movie. And so for that, I will offer 2006's The Host by the great Bong Joon-ho. It's a very eco-centric creature feature, which sees the city of Seoul terrorized by a chemically altered giant fish monster, with one early attack scene in particular just being absolutely legendary from a pure chaos perspective. A young girl gets abducted by the beast, and the majority of the movie then sees her dysfunctional family trying to infiltrate the beast's lair to get her back, lending itself more to the, socio-political themes for which Bong is more well known. But overall, it's a really great blend of genres that I think doesn't get tackled as much as a dumpster diving weirdo like me would prefer. Good movie. And finally, we're left with ocean-based horror creatures that don't really fit any certain mold, meaning that my last pick for this list is going to be the completely shameless alien knockoff Leviathan from 1989. When a deep-sea mining crew discovers a sunken Soviet ship on the ocean floor, they become embroiled in a frantic standoff with a genetically mutated sea beast that proceeds to pick them off one by one as they attempt to contact help. The claustrophobic atmosphere harkens back to a litany of better films that director George B. Cosmatos clearly ripped off. But the ending climax is campy as fuck in the best way and features probably my favorite random sucker punch in the history of film. Also, Daniel Stern is in this thing playing a total scumbag, and that's just fun for the whole family. Oh, and shout out legendary special effects guru Stan Winston for going ham on all fronts. So anyway, there are 10 of my favorite ocean-based horror films of all time. Let me know in the comments what other niche subgenres you think I should tackle next. As always, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching, and this has been the Inferion Channel.